Hello everyone, and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. And yes, the stories just get stranger and stranger, these royal stories, especially when it comes to Harry and Meghan. And unless you've been abducted by aliens recently and off planet, I'm sure you know by now that Archewell has been served a delinquency notice by the Attorney General in California for failure to submit their annual report, their tax returns, and pay their registration renewal fee. Not quite sure, because there seems to be some dispute about how long they have been non-compliant, whether it's a year or whether it's a few months, but it doesn't matter. It's pretty bad. It looks terrible, in fact, and it's all over the place, this story. What's interesting about this story is that it broke while the Parkles were literally on cloud 9, flying home from Nigeria. And that in itself is raises eyebrows. And we're going to look at that in this reading, whether perhaps somebody released the information while the Parkles were unable to clap it back, and as I say, it took off, floated home on cloud 9, and then landed crash bang in reality. They claim, or a spokesperson claims, that the check was sent in the post and wasn't received, and then we hear, no, it wasn't processed, or they've sent another one. Big question, who in this day and age sends checks in the post? So it all sounds a bit like the dog ate the homework kind of a thing there, even though Meghan Markle has claimed that she has a forensic attention to detail. Apparently not when it comes to her compliance requirements with her charitable foundation. I have the Tarot of the Abyss on the table for this one. We're going to do a Celtic cross. We're going to look and see what's going on with Archewell and this delinquency notice. How bad is it? What's going on behind the scenes? Blame game, people getting fired. What's happening? We'd love to know. And part of this is that while this delinquency notice is in effect, they are not supposed to solicit for funds or disburse funds. And they have been doing both of those things, allegedly, this year. So they might be in breach of those kinds of regulatory... what's the word? Anyway, those things. So we're going to ask, is it all going to be cleared up? We're also going to ask about the timing, the interesting timing of this news, this story, and how much pressure they're under in terms of their brand. Very interesting now with hindsight to think that they actually relaunched themselves recently as the Sussexes. New website, Sussex.com. They seem to have forgotten all about Archewell, and they were steering themselves back into royal adjacent territory with that Sussex.com thing. So perhaps they knew that there was some trouble coming down the line, and perhaps some of this trouble is some of the trouble that Lady C was foretelling a while back. We don't know, but we want to know if it's going to be cured anytime soon, or if this is going to be a terrible stain on their reputation, and if it's all over for Archewell, if in fact it is the end game for Archewell. Talk about karma, if it is. And I think we're good to go, as the cards have now just collapsed all over the place. And I'm going to shuffle these in. Apparently I need to do that. And let's remind you as I do this, tarot for fun and entertainment, or, in my opinion, all speculation. We just read energy here, archetypal energy, because we're dealing with the archetypal family, and of course archetypes, the thing that Meghan most loves to talk about when she's not talking about herself. A bit of snark there, of course. And disclaimer in the box below. Let's see what's going on. Ooh, 7 of Swords. 7 of Swords is our underlying energy. The 7 of Swords is rather tricky energy when you're dealing with something like a charitable foundation, because it's a sneaky energy. It can be breaking rules, it can be skirting around legalities, maybe being non-compliant. That's the polite way of putting it. getting away with stuff, sneaking off, disappearing, ghosting. There are rumors that the staff of Archewell have all marched out. They've gone. I think that James Holt is still around. He was in Nigeria. He gets paid huge sums of money, something like $200,000 to head this organization up, I think. If I'm misquoting, I do apologize. But there is a sense here with the Seven of Swords that there is something untoward going on, and perhaps even this notion that people have sort of slunk away without really anyone noticing and disappeared. And that may be why they're non-compliant, that there is just nobody left to send the check in the post. And we know that they have trouble with gluing things and sticking things down because the labels were coming off that jam. So perhaps if it was the has-been that had to put the check in the envelope and send it off in the post to the Attorney General, perhaps he didn't glue that envelope down properly and the check fell out. Who knows? Seven of Swords. Interesting energy. Situation right now with Archewell, Queen of Swords. Well, this is having to get serious about things. Off with their heads is the kind of energy that I'm hearing, because I'm reading energy, of course, as ever on this channel. Queen of Swords is pretty cold, pretty ruthless, got to come up with a strategy, a plan, landed, as I say, on a high, and then found herself dealing with this mess, this terrible PR disaster, and so got to do something. And I would say the thing that she might be doing is firing people left and right. That's the Queen of Swords, getting into that kind of mode of being really coldly efficient and giving people their marching orders, Queen of Swords. So what's the problem for the Queen of Swords right now? Ooh, we got the Five of Wands. We got fighting there. And it's interesting in this depiction of the Five of Wands in the Tarot of the Abyss Dark Tarot that there's two birds having a go here in the Five of Wands. Normally there are five somethings having a go in the Five of Wands, but two here, big fighting going on. Queen of Swords probably laid down the law and blamed everybody and shouted at everybody and told them what fools they were. And did she have to do everything, and could she not go to Nigeria without, things like this happening in her absence? And Five of Wands squabbling in the team, in the Archewell team, possibly even in the marriage. Some back chat, some blame. It wasn't me, it was you. That kind of energy that's coming through with the Five of Wands. If the Queen of Swords gave someone hell, they gave it right back, is what I'm basically trying to say. What's going on behind the scenes there? We've got quite a good picture already, but what's going on behind the scenes at Mudslide Mansion right now? We got the Three of Wands, waiting and hoping that the ship is going to come in, a big ship. Maybe it's a big ship sailing from Nigeria to their rescue. It's giving me huge rescue energy, that there is expectation. Three of Wands are all about expectation, waiting, hopefully, optimistically, that something good is going to come. You've sown the seeds, and now back comes the reward, or the goods that you ordered, or that you hoped for, that you thought you might just manifest. So there is tremendous hope of rescue behind the scenes. The power of magical thinking. And I think a lot of people are quite invested in magical thinking. Instead of facing the reality of their situations, they believe that if they just think good, positive thoughts, magic will happen. And I'm not, I'm a believer in manifesting, but I'm also a believer in making steps towards manifesting things, and not just sitting waiting on the shore there for the ship to just magically appear. A lot of magical energy in that card for me. So what are they consciously doing? We've already heard that another check is in the post. So what's really going on? King of Cups in reverse. I don't know who the King of Cups is. It might even be our hero, James Holt. But somebody's in trouble with the King of Cups in reverse. A water sign, kind of obviously with the King of Cups, kind of a male energy. It could be that King of Cups has to fall on his, well, he wouldn't have a sword being the King of Cups, but he might have to just fling himself off that boat into the stormy seas. A bit like those kind of offerings, on the stormy seas, chuck someone overboard and that'll calm the storm right down. I'm getting the energy here of somebody having to self-sacrifice, to make the ultimate sacrifice so that the storm calms down. It's very interesting energy. As I say, the only name that I'm aware of, because the turnover at Archewell is so immense that it's hard to keep track of who's actually working there. The only big name that sticks out for me is James Holt. Could be him, I don't know, I'm speculating wildly here, but it is giving me energy of somebody having to almost be an offering to the angry sea to calm the situation down. So somebody is going to be the fall guy. And the Queen of Swords probably has already decided this, because the Queen of Swords can be heartless and cold in these moments of crisis, which can be a strong point about the Queen of Swords. Doesn't have to be a bad thing, just by the way. But it's interesting that we have the stormy seas here, the sort of tempest energy here, and then we have the calm seas here and the ship arriving. So there is expectation of rescue and of things quieting down and the goodies arriving that were ordered, and then somebody having to abandon themselves to the waves. Right, apologies for that minor interruption, and on we go. We're going back into the past, not quite the mists of time, but the recent past with Archewell. How's it been doing? We know from the most recent financials that there was a tremendous dip in their fundraising activities to almost nothing. So what's been going on with Archewell? 10 of Wands. It's become an impossible burden. It does look a bit like the has-been shuffling along there with his bag of sticks on his back. These terrible burdens that have been laid on the has-been. Difficult, struggles, lonely, overwhelmed energy, whoever that person is. For me, it is the has-been shuffling along. Perhaps it's the person who has been trying to run Archewell and has been feeling like a beast of burden, pretty much. But 10 is climax energy, and somebody in the recent past has had enough. And as I say, there are rumors that there was a walkout of staff, basically, that everybody left. That is a rumor, and we're just testing the energy here. That 10 of Wands tells me that whoever was around in Archewell was really feeling overwhelmed and really struggling with whatever they were supposed to be doing. And who knows what Archewell ever really did, because apart from some small disbursements here and there, it didn't really seem to do anything much. That, of course, is my opinion. What's coming next? Is this going to be sorted out? All smiles, happiness, back on track? And the near future, what is coming out? Oh, we got the Emperor in reverse. No, that's not good news, because the Emperor can be sort of government energy, people in charge, and that would be the Attorney General, who is not pleased. Also, it could be heads rolling. We've already seen the sacrifice energy of this King of Cups having to fling himself into the sea to calm the storm down. Getting more of the same with the Emperor in reverse, that there might be heads rolling, very senior people might be sacrificed, might be fired. So two things going on there. Regulators not impressed. So whatever excuse, the dog ate the homework or checks in the post, Harry's just trying to write the address, with a crayon. There isn't much positive response from the powers that be in government, in those kinds of structures. The Emperor is all about people who are in charge, whether government or business or whatever. So both ways, the Emperor in reverse is bad news for Archewell. Tell me now, moving down here, I've repurposed this Celtic cross, about the timing of the announcement, or the fact that the news just slipped out that this delinquency notice had been served on Archewell. Timing, coincidental, deliberate. What does universe have to tell us about this? Oh, the sun. The sun is illumination, is shedding light on something. It's a very powerful energy. Very, very powerful. It's dazzling. It's bright. It's brilliant. It's going into the kitchen in the middle of the night in a grubby restaurant and switching the light on, and the cockroach is all scurrying for cover. It's that kind of energy that the sun is giving me. The sun can also, just by the way, I'm just putting this out there, the sun can also be royalty. Just saying. But it's a very powerful energy. It's very dominant energy, shedding light on a situation. So I think it was very intentional, whoever it was that decided that this news needed to get out there. Massive energy behind it, massive potency behind it. So pressure on the Parkles in terms of brand, in terms of how bad this looks for them. They're trying to characterize themselves as more royal than the royals, and presidential even. We've had that word thrown around in the last day or so. Terrifying word. Really, is it not bad enough what's already on offer from a presidential point of view? But let's see, pressure for the Parkles. And we have the 9 of Wands now in reverse. This is, oh, it's awful, isn't it? You can see what a woeful card the 9 of Wands is. In reverse, even worse. We've had the 10 of Wands over there already, the brink of total collapse. At 9 of Wands is somebody who does fall over, because they are making their last stand when the card is upright, very wounded, very damaged, battered. This brand, this organization, absolutely taking body blows, and has been for a while. And when the card is in the reverse, it just can't anymore, and it's destroyed. It's so damaged that it basically just disintegrates. That's the energy that's coming through. Upright, of course, there's the sense that there's some kind of boundary, there's still some protection around the organization, but in the reverse, that protection is removed. Whatever they were trying to ring fence and whatever they were trying to protect from leaking out, because it's about boundaries, the 9 of Wands, those boundaries have disappeared and this has leaked out. I'm getting very strong leaking energy, and so perhaps there is somebody who was working for them that has leaked the story. The Sun. Don't know who, not pointing fingers at anyone, because I literally don't have a clue who I could suggest as a possible someone. So that's just energy, but it's pretty bad energy. If they're sitting looking at this mess, I'm thinking there might be people in there who worked for them who have tales to tell, very damaging tales to tell. So hopes and fears for the Parkles with this delinquency notice. We've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse. That's their the gig being up, really, in terms of trying to get new contracts, new deals, new sponsorships, new whatevers, new fundraising drives, all of that stuff. They're very worried that this is going to dry up, and they're not going to be able to reach out to anyone. It's communications, it's negotiations, it's contracts, it's all that stuff. It's soliciting for charitable funds. In reverse, no more of that. They are worried that that as a source of cash flow or whatever, because people do suspect that Archewell was used for personal financial reasons. rather than as a sort of charitable foundation. You can, of course, with these particular organizations, don't have to give all the money out to charity, but it looks like that source of income might be stopped. Well, they're worried that it might be stopped, and it might be stopped because of the regulator stopping them from proceeding. What's going to happen ultimately to Archewell and the Parkles in this context? Is it all going to be fixed? They're going to sail on. Perhaps they're going to go back to Nigeria, because they have promised that this was just the first of many such tours to Africa. The Six of Swords is putting this behind you, putting your troubles behind you, sailing off over those stormy seas. Escape energy here for me. And it's very interesting that we have those stormy seas. We have the person who's going to be sacrificed there, the King of Cups, and somebody making almost a run for it. And I say that because I've got the Seven of Swords here as my underlying energy, and the Seven of Swords has this energy always in tarot of somebody who disappears under cover of darkness. They make their getaway. And so I'm getting the sense here that, oh well, we'll just leave that behind. We'll move on. And as I have said already in this reading, Sussex.com, the website, has already been set up, and they're rebranding themselves as royals, as presidential prospects, all the rest of it. Archewell, what was that? All forgotten, and off we go. It's very interesting that the only one flying away is a female figure who's wearing a boob tube, as I would call a dress like that. We've seen quite a few of those recently. I can't think exactly where. I'm being snarky. But there you have it. Big trouble for Archewell. It doesn't look like they're going to get out of this unscathed, although someone might just magically click her heels and fly away. That is your reading. Thanks for watching. We're going to check up on Parkle finances just generally in the next short reading.